leads off. Man-made coverings that we have paid to have manufactured, but doesn't warm us, doesn't protect us. Covering that doesn't have the coefficient amount of potential to protect, and only the glory of God can protect. And we've just a bit off schedule, but we have it fixed, or we'll be back on after at the end of this section, where we'll end up on time. Well, I'm so delighted. You'll hear the elongated. This is the abridged presentation by Dr. Janine Heinemann. This will be an hors d'oeuvre. She'll give the entree this evening. But I tell you, some folks' hors d'oeuvres are better than some person's 7-course meal. And I promise you that she is of that kind. Been processed at the speed of God's pace. She's not a preemie. She's a full term. She was born full term and been processed, maturated through all the seasons of maturity. And now she's the fully developed Son of God. Let's receive Apostle Dr. Janine Heinemann. She will come, and I promise you, once you hear her, you'll say, let's do that again. You'll want her to come to your church, to your city, and let's give her a reconstruction welcome and the person of Dr. Apostle Janine Heinemann.
Amen. God bless you. Glad to be here on today. We certainly honor, respect, love, admire God in the person of Apostle Leo Lewis. We thank God for each of you. Thank God for the host pastor. And, of course, my baby brother. I love him real good. Bishop Demetrius Senegal. I really love him real good. We thank God for all of you on today. All right, now I got 40 minutes, so I got to condense 60 into 40. It is work. I'm going to deal today with the best I can in the time that I have allotted, the mental health portion of us as an oppressed people. And just one word for this: cry. Cry. One word for this. Let's talk a little bit about the condition of our people. We must understand that as a people of color, we have endured 430-some years of oppression. We were born in oppression. We don't know anything else. We have generations and generations of oppression, just like God says to Abraham, he says, I'm going to bless your seed, and I'm going to bless your seed, but it comes back in Genesis and tells him, but that seed is going to go into bondage for 400 years. And just as history repeats itself, prophecy repeats itself. Ecclesiastes tells us that the thing that was is the thing which is now, and the thing which is now has already been. There is no new thing under the sun. In fact, it said God requires, we're going to talk about that tonight, what already was. And so just as God said to Abraham that his seed was going to go into bondage and go into oppression for 400 years, history repeated itself with our people. Now, there are some who postulate that we are of that seed. I don't know. I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you. All I can tell you is that history has repeated itself yet once more and again. So just like Israel or the African Hebraic people, a mixed multitude of Africans and Afro-Asiatic people, we now have been enslaved or in oppression for 439 years. So then if history repeats itself, prophecy repeats itself. So whatever it is that God spoke over Israel concerning promise and concerning purpose is the same thing that he is speaking over our people concerning promise and concerning purpose. And so what we have failed to realize is, number one, is that we are those people. we have failed to realize that we have come through 400 years of oppression. We have failed to realize the impact of generation after generation after generation of injustice and oppression, racism, sexism. We don't even look at it. We experience it, and we may react or we may talk about it, but we really don't understand that it's a part of a plan that already was. And what God is requiring now is the thing which already was. Okay, so that being said, what we have not done, particularly as leaders and as pastors or whatever area that we lead in, secularly or sacredly, we have not realized the overarching long-term effect of 400 years of oppression. And so we are preaching to an oppressed people, but we don't have a liberation message. We are preaching to trauma that has never even been recognized or realized, but we don't have a message of liberation for that. We have a message of spirituality, but we don't do what Apostle is having us do today, deal with the realities of our existence in a foreign land. How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? I know we were born in it, but it ain't in our DNA. Okay? I know this is all we know, but it's something else in our DNA. Many of us do not even recognize that, particularly for people of the diaspora, that God has put his hand on that group of people. Follow the pattern. Apostolic preaching is always patterns and principles. The pattern is this. Let's look at the previous group. He says, you were not a people. I made you a people when you were not a people. We were not a people. We were made a people through the diaspora. And so whenever God is making a people, then he must take that people out of Egypt, process them in the wilderness, and then prepare them for promise, because the promise is the justice to the injustice of Egypt. Canaan is juxtaposed to Egypt. And so God always has a purpose for every group of people. Where we fail to understand and where we don't realize is that there's no way in the world, people of God, that we could have come from the motherland, been packed on ships worse than sardines, all on top of each other, what they call tween decks. We were just, laid out like animals, excrement all around us, menstrual cycles, babies born on the ship, on the way over here in the worst of conditions. No other people in the history of civilization has gone through what our ancestors went through. Yet, in spite of all of that, we brought over here on strange soil, language taken from us, names taken from us, tribal affiliations taken from us, culture taken from us, whipped, robbed, raped, lynched, cut, branded. Are you listening to me? We've endured all of that, but yet, like Israel, the more they afflicted us, we baby kids, honey. We can pop them out under affliction. We can pop them out. The master could rape us, and we still had enough something in our constitution to be able to raise the bastard baby that they now call mulatto, like a mule, a hybrid. Come on here. Lord, y'all sit down, please. Now, I ain't got but 32 more minutes. Come on. I just got to lay this out real quick so that we understand. I got to run like a racehorse. We got to understand there is no way except the hand of God, unless the hand of God was upon us, we could have survived generation after generation after generation. Why? Because the hand of the Lord was upon us. Why? Because when we were not a people, he called us from this part of West Africa, that part of Africa, that part of Africa, mixed in our DNA, Native Americans mixed in our DNA, even the genes of the oppressor. And it says, I made you a people called. And I called you in a wilderness. And whenever God is going to bring us out of oppression, there is a wilderness space where everything that was in you in Egypt has to be processed out of you. Y'all, please sit down. Now watch. Because I want you to see this. In Egypt, a cry went out. You will see it in Acts 7. It talks about how Stephen is preaching to the Sanhedrin. He's coming up against a whole system because the system doesn't understand the fact that God's hand is on us. They inherently feel something and they inherently fear something. So when you are inherently feared and people don't understand you, the only way that they can get the best out of you is to strip you of who you are and re-indoctrinate you and miseducate you. In fact, I hope you're ready for this. I hope you're ready for this. The only thing that will keep them from recreating a new human being is the laws that were given to you as a people in the wilderness. The laws that are given in the wilderness for Moses are because I'm making a new people. Therefore, those people that I'm bringing out are mixed multitude. They're mixed. They're mixed multitude. So now I've got to come up with a law that will govern the mixed multitude that is akin to how I constructed them genetically and socially and spiritually. And so God has to raise up leaders who will give us a law inside the law. They already knew the laws of Egypt because they were oppressed by those laws. So now you got to give these mixed multitude a law that will preserve them, that will keep them, that will keep what God is doing in us pure. So he's not just giving Moses a law so he can just rule these people. I'm giving Moses a law so that they will become my people. Now, what you have not realized is that we always had a law. It may not have been written. Even as an oppressed people, we had laws within the law. There was the Constitution, but we had a separate constitution. There were laws on the books that excluded you, but we had our own method of inclusion. There was a whole system. It's called institutionalized racism. That whole system was devised and developed for the wealth, the power, and the control of the ones who signed the document. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? We had our own constitution. There were certain things that we just didn't do. We didn't go with our best friend's boo. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. Unwritten law. If we had liquor, because we were oppressed. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with a character flaw. It has something to do with trying to medicate a pain and you don't know what a pain is. Addiction doesn't have anything to do with you ain't no good. It has something to do with things being put right in your face and a carrot being dangled so that you can mask your pain because you don't even know where the pain is. Watch. So now we got to give you, watch, we got to give you a law that teaches first the of God, not the God that was constructed for you by Egypt. Y'all are not ready. Because the gods of Egypt, not the God that called these people out. He said, so when he said, Moses, tell them, he said, well, okay, well, which God are you? Because remember now, Moses is privileged. He grew up in privilege. He grew up in politics. He grew up in position. He grew up in the king's palace. So he don't know.
a mixed multitude that I took through oppression, put my hand on them, put my name on them, put my word on them, and allowed them to survive the worst of time because there's a promise and a prophecy still on them. Y'all see that? How much time I got, baby?
No, keep going. Haven't just granted you 20 minutes.
Oh, Lord. She said she just read me off. Here we go. Now, in order, what?
I feel it lifting.
In order.
Hashima!
Yes, sir.
I feel it lifting.
In order for me to get my people out, here's what happened to me in my processing. I got to go to the privilege in the system who are far removed from the suffering of his own people because he don't see himself like that. In fact, he doesn't even really know he's that. Because his Hebrewness has been stripped away from him. He was born over here, put in the bulrushes, and sent over there for privilege. How many of our parents, Big Mama and them, sent us into the bulrushes of a system so that we could escape the suffering of our people? Come on.
It was both a curse and a blessing. Curse and the blessing. That's how we live. That's that tension. That tension that causes us anxiety. Now I want you to watch the pattern here. We ready? Then I don't watch the pattern. Now God, well, Moses, he's been on the run a little bit because something in his DNA that made him take somebody out. Because something say, wait a minute, I know I'm this, but no, that's me right there. See, until you privileged preachers realize that you're not a voice to the people, you are the people. Until you've been stripped of your privilege, some of you been through it, and God strip you down to nothing and give you a Medicaid card and give you, I got an EBT card in my pocketbook, don't play with me. Until you have to go through that system and see how our people are talked to. See how our people are talked to like dogs, even by our own people in the system. Until you have been stripped and you don't know how you going to eat and you don't know how you going to feed your babies and you got to go sit and wait in lines and watch people get preferred in front of you and you got to answer extra questions because they don't trust you, and other folks can just walk in and answer 2 questions and come out with benefits. But you got to understand God is taking you that way so that you are not a priest that is not touched with the feelings of your own people's infirmity. Yo, sit down. You listening? All right, hear this. So now God takes him out of the system. He lets that Hebrew temper finally get the best of him. Takes him out of the system. Watch. Now watch how God does this. He says, surely I have seen the affliction of my people. Why, black people, do you act like you're not a people under affliction? Why do your services act like you have arrived? Why is your model for everything spiritual your oppressors? Why have you adopted evangelical doctrine and evangelical teaching? Why have you renounced where you came from? Why have you denied that you are the sons and daughters of slaves who are also the sons and daughters of kings and queens? Why have you renounced the hand of God that was on you that brought us here? Why have you renounced your Ebenezer hitherto? Has the Lord helped us? Why have you renounced everything? Because we need the affirmation and the acceptance of those who labeled you 3/5 of a human. There's something in you that still desires to be affirmed and validated by your oppressor. Y'all call it bougie. Some of us gonna get stripped. 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 Some of us gonna get stripped.
so that we can identify. Not that I'm a voice to the people. I am those people. One of the greatest revelations of my life is when God allowed me, Bishop Senegal, to close my church. He said, let it run its course. 15 years of a church I founded. My blood, sweat, and tears in it. God said, let it run its course. I didn't know death was in the course. I just thought it was going to give me some new people that you know, yeah. But death was in the course. And I had to let it go. Now, I've been out of the job market 12 years with a whole PhD. Out of the job market, giving my life, as a prophetess said, to my people who have no appreciation for what I do. Come on. So now that I don't have a church, I'm saying, okay, well, God, if I ain't the pastor, then what am I? I ain't teaching in the classroom no more, so then what am I? And here we go, 2 years, Apostle, with no income because I wasn't eligible for any unemployment because I was in the church system that wasn't in the system. 15 years of being underpaid, paying the bills myself at the church. Come on here, that's a bad model. But we've done it. Come on, it's a bad model. It's a God ain't gonna bless us model because it allows the weight of a people to be put on a leader, and that is antithetical to the way God has constructed. Oh, God. Y'all sit down. I'm trying. Oh, watch. When it got so that I had no health care, and I go apply for it, I got to prove how I got the car that I got. They pull my DMV record to see what I'm driving. This is my own people. Working on the plantation like they own it. Come on here. Working in the bank like they own it. Come on. Working for the company store like they own it. Uncle Tom's everywhere. We are sick. And I said, before I let you strip my dignity, I'll beg. I walked out. Come on here. Didn't have no health care. Then I went to the clinic where there were people who were beggars and homeless and 5 outfits on. Here I go stepping in the clinic and say, can I get service? Not today, ma'am. We are overdone. I'm saying, I got stung by a bee. Not today, ma'am. And I sat in my car and I wept and I said, God, I'm worse than those people because they gonna get help and I can't. I said, oh, I'm looking. Oh, she looked like a beggar. She looked like a bag lady. He looked like a dope fiend. I am those people. I am those people. Miss PhD, I am those people. Miss 5 degrees, I am those people. Miss Bishop and Apostle, I am those people. Miss driving a Lexus, don't know when they're going to come get it. I am those people. Are you listening to me? Moses has to realize that I am those people. Now watch. He says, I've seen the affliction of my people. I've heard there's a certain threshold, man of God, that when the intensity of a collective cry comes from a people, when the intensity reaches a certain threshold, it penetrates heaven, it pierces through the darkness, it reaches the throne of God. There's a certain threshold, there's a certain sound. We were coming in here, I couldn't find the sanctuary. Apostle said, he said, come, we gotta follow the sound. I hear the sound of his Father's voice. We heard the sound, we followed the sound. That's how we got here. Are you listening to me? And so now God has to bring this man of God out, and he has to have an encounter with him. He has to have some kind of physical, spiritual encounter with him, a theophany, if you will, where now God is showing up in nature, the nature that Moses knows. And so because he knew the bush, because he knew nature, y'all don't know nature no more because you inside every time. You don't let these people tell you they're looking at the stars. It's demonic. The same star that them people follow to find Jesus. Come on here. Y'all don't let them people tell y'all they done took all your Africanness out you. You can't be the sons of Issachar because you don't know the times, because you don't know how to look at the stars. You don't know how to look at the galaxies. You don't know how to look at the seasons. That ain't just nothing spiritual. It was a spiritual gift, but they were experts in reading the signs. Y'all all right? Okay, I got but a few more minutes here. Watch. There's got to be a sound collectively that comes from a people who say we can't take no more. Those people have to admit that they have been victimized by injustice. But we don't want to admit nothing, Apostle. We're going to dress it up. We're going to fix it up. We're going to spend all of our money to look like and act like we're not those people. This is why we don't have no investment. This is why we don't have no retirement. This is why we don't know how to invest in stocks and bonds. This is why our prophets don't know how to speak to us and tell us where to put the money. The prophets telling us, go get a car. Why don't the prophet tell us when the next AMC going to go up or go down and how much to invest? When are the prophets going to be able to examine the times and look at the system? When are the prophets going to give us strategies to become friends with unrighteous mammon? Y'all not ready. Y'all are not ready. Y'all spiritual, but we ain't got no sense. Now, watch. In this theophany, he approaches the bush because it's an anomaly. But I know the ground. I know it's familiar. God said, no, but you don't know this right here. So what I need you to do, rather than to approach something that's going to consume you, I need you to back off. And I need you to take your shoes off. I don't need none of the residual of the territory you just came out of. I don't need none of the residual of Egypt. Take your shoes off. Leave the dust of Egypt on the ground, and you come to me with your bare feet. Come on here, because the ground you're standing on is holy. Why did he have to be told? Because now he's having an incident. He's having an experience with the God of all creation, and he never had an experience like that. He only knew the God of his oppressors. Y'all all right? Don't you think it's interesting, Apostle? Especially in Acts 7, you can really see it. That God says, I've seen the affliction, I've heard the cry, and watch this. I am come down to deliver. I'm not sending. I'm coming. I'm not calling. I'm not consecrating. I'm not ordaining. I'm not ordaining. I'm not making no bishops. I'm coming down. And when he says, I'm coming down because a cry has come up, I've seen something. They're at a breaking point. They are at a point where they have said enough is enough. Until we say enough is enough, he ain't going to answer, because it ain't enough intensity for it to pierce through the darkness. He says, I'm come down. And next we see him showing up to Moses. Watch, apostles. You're not just ordained for this. You are an I am come down. And I am come down, and I'm going to come down in you. I'm not even calling you. I'm just going to possess your vessel. I'm going to pull you out of oppression. I'm going to execute judgment on that, but I'm going to pull you out first. I'm going to execute judgment on it, but not until you go get my people. Come on here. And so you need to realize, apostles, that you're not just here because you founded churches. You're not just here because you got sons and daughters. You are here, if you are authentically an apostle, because God said, I am come down, and he pulled you out of a system and possessed your vessel. See, y'all can't receive that. See that? There it is. Look at it in Exodus. Look at it again in Acts. I'm come down to deliver them. He need a body. And now the body has to have an encounter that changes the God. Come on. And this is the God I want you to go in the system with and say, let my people go. So what your name is? Because you know our gods have a name. Oh, I ain't going there. Y'all ain't ready for that. I was going to go there. Y'all ain't ready. I got PAW. Our gods have a name. Our God have a name. Come on. Our God have a name. He said, tell them I am sent you. I am. That is my name. That is my name. And so now he goes, he gets them, you know the story. He brings them in the wilderness. What he's trying to do is get Egypt out of them while they're in the wilderness. He got them out of Egypt, but Egypt brought all of the residue. They brought everything, even the gold and the silver. They brought all of that. Here we coming out talking about we delivered, and we come out ain't got no money. You come out ain't got no gold. You come out ain't got no silver. You come out ain't got no goods. Talk about I'm delivered. No. That ain't the word of liberation that Jesus Christ taught. So we must understand, people of God, that while we're in the wilderness, we are sick. Because we're being completely disoriented from the religion, from the language, from the culture, from the system, from the trauma, from the oppression of the oppressor. And God has to give us a rule. That's why when they used to walk past, you know, they walk past the church with their little wine bottle and their little bag, the brown bag. You don't even get no brown bag now. Brown bag. They walk past the church. They put that bottle in their back pocket or put it under their jacket. It's an unwritten law called reverence. Come on. Even if I ain't living where I'm supposed to, I'm not going to dishonor, Lord have mercy, the place where my people gather to meet God. I'm not going to let my children run all over the pulpit and run all over. We got another law. Come on here. We're not going to let them play shouting, talking about they're going to get it later. No, it ain't God. Sit down until you get God. See, those were laws that we have now renounced because now we done let the oppressor tell us how to raise black children that they don't know nothing about. So now when you look at the fact that in every system we are behind the wealth gap. The wealth gap, the median wealth gap for whites is at about 180,000. We at 18,000. What are we preaching? Well, I just got tight in here. If you have to do the same thing with 18,000 that they do with 180,000, do you not understand how much stress that puts on you? Listen to me. It is proven, Apostle, that years of oppression, even trauma, can alter the way DNA is expressed. Because the body was made to be adaptive, just like animals. So if you put us in cold temperatures, then you're going to develop all this body hair. You ain't going to have no melanin. You can be like the little Neanderthals that y'all want to be like. Come on. The anointing for outside ain't the same as an anointing for a cave. So you're not those people. When you realize you're not those people, and that by trying to be like those people, you have renounced the gods of your fathers, there's a sickness that comes with it. And so because of years of oppression, our DNA has become altered in the way that it expresses itself. Now we're passing it on through the genetics. So the genotype is different because the DNA is different. Come on, because we are trying to adapt. So when you've been in stress all your life, you're born in oppression, you adapt to it so that your body and your mind can have some sense of homeostasis or balance. And so we have adapted and adapted and adapted till we no longer look like the sons and daughters of God. We've adapted and adapted and adapted until our very nature, the gifts that God gave us to be his people, those gifts are not even prominent in us anymore. We've always been the eyes of God. When you go to Africa, their pastors got more prophetic insights than our prophets. It's our natural gifting. Intuition is our natural gifting. The ability to walk in a room and say, something ain't right. That's natural to us. We're losing it. We don't know nothing about tantrums. Maybe you just got your teeth, you're getting ready to lose them. We don't know nothing about all of that back talk. But this generation acting like little barbarians, falling all out in the floor, pulling stuff off the racks in the store, walking with a pamper on at 3 and cussing. If you can cuss, you can tell me you got to pee. We genetically walk at 10 to 12 months. Now we're walking at 2 and 3 years old. We never had no whole bunch of autism and all of that. Now half of our people are on the spectrum. Now when you assimilate and you leave the God of your ancestors and you take the God of America, whatever America got, you got, because you have no protection. We don't report depression because we shame. It's taboo. Most of us were born with a depressive gene from years of oppression. We don't know we're depressed because this is the way we came out. We can function with depression. They be at work, yes, we know what my therapist, Dave left me, and my therapist told me, and Dave be done left us, and it's 2 years before the saints find out he gone. Are you hearing? What I learned pastoring, Apostle, was that I could not pastor people's depression. I can't pastor your anxiety. I can't pastor the trauma handed down to you. I can't pastor what you learned out of your dysfunctional family, because all of them are dysfunctional. What I need to do is begin to assess the condition of my people. And if you call yourself a leader and you don't know how bad your people are hurting, you don't know how far off we have come, you have not assessed the condition of our people, then you are preaching a white gospel that only oppresses them further, making them go after stuff but not be the stuff. I got to get out of here. Since the pandemic, since you don't know who you are a tribal people. You don't function well as an individual. The ethos or the worldview of America is individualism. What's in it for me? What I do is my business. Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do because I'm 19. Girl, you still a teenager. Sit down. 19. We have become hostile, irreverent, disrespectful, and angry because we are two different people. Black bodies with white souls. We have incarnated a white patriarchal spirit that says we have privilege, we are entitled, we should have it. Yeah, we're going to have it, but only the way God told us to get it. And it's not for you. It's through you. Because of prophecy and promises made to your ancestors who died in the way. Now we are feeling the spirit of the ancestors. This ain't no necromancy. This is who we really are. See, and look how y'all looking. We are now encompassed about with a great cloud of witnesses because they died never receiving the promise. And unless you are in the line of succession, you can't inherit what God promised them. We don't even know what he promised because we wasn't there. Many of them never even told us because they were trying to shield us from the slave master. We broke a law. God told Israel, tell it to generations following. Tell them how I brought you out. Tell them what I did for you. Tell them how bad it was and how I came down. Tell them about Moses. Tell them how I'm going to continue to deliver because I've made a covenant with Israel. We're next for the inheriting of a covenant. Listen to me. And I'm going to take my happy seat. The amount of depression has gone up. since the pandemic because we're tribal. A screen dulls that in your DNA. I said a screen. Virtual don't help tribal people. It helps individuals. It's something about this meeting here. Thank y'all for watching. But it's a deposit here that may not transcend the lens. There's something when each of us bring our godness and bring it to the table, and it's available for others to drink from. There's something a little different. And so while people are saying who ain't hearing from God, they hear from the God of America. The prophets are hearing from the God of America. They're not here. These generations don't know the God of Jacob, okay? They don't know that God. The God of Jacob ain't telling you that everything is going to remain virtual. That ain't God. See how y'all just did that? He's not telling the tribal people that. You have to be gathered. Watch. There's got to be a collective cry. We are not dismissing the efficiency and the efficacy of virtual. We're saying you're going to have to integrate virtual into your natural DNA. Your natural DNA is you are communal. You are tribal. There is no me. There's only a we. There's something in us that you know how they say black people draw heat? Because there's something in the melanin. You ain't drawing no heat in no front of no camera. Come on here. We draw heat and turn the heat down, baby, and say the bill. I was a little cool earlier. I ain't cold now. Because I'm depositing what little God I have, and I'm sharing with the community. She was sharing with the community. Come on here. We're going to be sharing with one another so that we are in a better position to be liberationists for our people. If you do not hear a cry, if you do not acknowledge your pain, you can't have a cry. It's not until that cry reaches a certain threshold. We are out of that period of oppression. It closed in August, about August of 2019. People didn't even know it. Come on, where the prophets? They didn't even know it. It closed. Now, where are we? We are in between eras. The next era is justice and righteousness. The Bible said that the foundation of God's throne is justice and righteousness. The foundation of God's throne, not America. The foundation of God's throne, if you're going to call yourself kingdom people, then you're going to have the foundation of the throne in everything that you do. It's got to be engraved in you. Everything you do now must be for justice and righteousness, for the reclaiming of a promise that we don't even know we got. So this is why so many people died, because they served the era. So they didn't even have time to get sick, Apostle. So many, they died on toilet stools. They went in the bathroom and just died. I'm talking about people I know. They laid down and just died. All of it wasn't COVID. Why are we dying like that? It ain't just because of the system. It's because we're getting a spanking. Because we have renounced who we are. That's blasphemous. Because you're saying what God has made ain't what God has made. So we got to be like this. Are you listening to me? You have to have not only the word of liberation, and you can't address it until you assess it. So those of you that you can do the research now. Those of you that have counselors in your church, you have psychologists in your church, you have medical personnel in your church, they need to be doing the research. They need to be teaching our people what to do. You got people that are in law. You got people that their reason why they're in the system. They're to bring the intel to us so that we can formulate a people out of a people, a church out of a church, a nation out of a nation. Are you hearing me? God wants to make us a people again. And so the Moses is of this day. It's going to take Moses, it's going to take a Joshua, and it's going to take Caleb. This is intergenerational. And so I don't want you to be bamboozled by the word over, everything is going to remain virtual. People ain't going to return. Hear me when I tell you, when God finishes with us, we will return.
When God finishes stripping, oh yes, sir, we will return, because we cannot go into the next era with the residue of American culture on us. We have to go in as a kingdom of priests. We have to go in as sons and daughters of the diaspora. We have to go in as the people of God whose hand and whose favor is on us. And it ain't because he promised you. He don't even like us like that. Did you hear what I said? God don't even recognize us. We're not the people he made. We're the people the system made. They've altered your diet, genetically altered your food, violated the laws of respite and rest. They won't let the ground rest after 7 years. Because they're greedy. The food has no nutritional value hardly. So now God got to give us, Dr. Senegal, a new dietary law. That's what he gave them in the wilderness, so that their bodies would be strengthened for the journey. So their DNA would be changed to match his purpose. He had to give them laws that would govern how they dealt with the one true and living God, and then the rest is how you deal with each other as an oppressed people. Don't you covet your neighbor's ox. It's y'all's ox. Come on. Don't you covet your neighbor's jackass or his wife. That's y'all. Come on here. See how y'all looking? We're so individualistic that we don't know how to be a people. But until we become a people, God cannot answer a cry, because he said, I've heard the cry not just of an individual. I've heard the cry of my people. People? It's time to cry and say, this hurts. It's time to cry and say, God, we done lost too many people. I stopped counting at 25. That was of August of last year, of people in my circle. I stopped counting at 25 before I went into depression. I don't know nothing about depression. I said, God, I wouldn't even know how to handle a depression, because I can't go in no depression. I don't have no skills for that. Come on. I stopped counting, and they're still dying. Are you listening? Nobody's dealing with the losses. Nobody's dealing with the number of deaths that is unprecedented among us. Nobody is dealing with the loss of our jobs. Now that the unemployment check that y'all got from the master is gone, see, you should have been getting a plan while you was getting paid. Not buying TVs. Oh, God. Not sending the automotive business into another $1 billion off of you, realizing the checks was going to stop. Come on, people. That is the spirit that's been bred into us. If you call yourself any preacher, any person of human services at all, you must assess the condition of your people and encourage them to face what we've gone through, encourage them to face the trauma, encourage them to tell God about it. You have been trained, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They know what they're doing. So now it's time to pray another prayer. David, God, let them fall in the net that they have set for me. God, fight against those who fight against me. God, bless those who bless us, and curse him who curse us. God, let this be the day of the Lord. This is the day of vengeance. This is the day of the vengeance of the Lord God. That's how you start praying now. Because as long as you cover them, I'm going to my seat. Long as you cover that and cover your affliction and your trauma, God will only answer the cry of a people. We got to go back to, oh, ain't got no words. Yeah, 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 yeah. My Lord, my Lord, my Lord, hear my humble cry. Hey, we got to go back to that. Y'all see that? You see what's happening? That's your native sound. That's the sound of oppressed people on higher ground. Oh, my God. Let me say, I got to go. I'll see y'all tonight. Somebody need to cry.
My Lord. My Lord. Stretch out across the church. I want an aisle in the back, stretch all the way across with Bishop Chambers, his wife, all the way across up front here. This is what was on me this morning, been on me all week. And as she was preaching, it was lifting. It'll lift further tonight. And that's what we've been doing. We've been crying. We've got these eight prayer shifts every day, last 17, 18 months, 7 days a week, crying out. Come on. We thought Obama was going to fix it. We thought Bill was and Hillary going to fix it. Come on, we knew Trump wouldn't do it. We thought maybe Biden would do it because your guy from Carolina sanctioned him. But God said, here's the deal. If my people, Shinayo, if my people, it's we're scheduling. We're scheduling. I want all our bishops and pastors to be ready to go with us. We're going to D.C. to deal with FEMA in a few days because that like in New Orleans, our folk out there, some don't even have trailers yet. Don't even have trailers yet. Yeah. And until we confront the system. Yeah, it's just, my heart grieves. I mean, it grieves because Bishop is going to deal with, we can't be generational, being individualistic. You get out there and die. They won't even know you're dead. See, Jesus was the voice of his Father. We don't sound like our dads. Yeah, I've got very few of my sons sound like me. Well, they call me Father. Come on, stretch out. Put something. You need something around your dock. All right, and then they'll have your car warm when it's time to go. They'll pull it right to the door, where you only have about 2 seconds in the elements. Come on, just stretch out. Lift your hand in the back. And we're going to pray in the Holy Ghost. I tell you what, Tori, turn this piano on. Jana, you are either prophet, just play some strings. Mayo! Murder went up 26% in a year in our communities. But we're not discerning enough to connect the prophetic dots. Sin, judgment. More sin, more judgment. Much more sin. We so carnal. We think this is COVID. This ain't COVID. This is us. Now they're getting ready to trick these 5 through 12s, and they're these kids, they're gonna end up, what do you call that, autism? We place too much credence on FDA approved. Who is the FDA? Who is the FDA? Did you ever meet him? What about the word that is approved? Am I here? Am I here? Mama comba dio, Arianda Kiriande Liliganda Laya. Hitomomaneo Shumayo, yay, Ninikung Drialio Maya. Ubiando Comariande Galia. Come on, let it flow out of your belly, out of your belly. Let it flow. Let it flow out of your belly, there, out of your flow. There's a river in you. There's a river in you that needs to flow out into that desert, needs to flow out into the urban America. Come on, there ain't a suburb that the devil ain't going to take over if we keep running from the assignment. Come on, come on. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Hiya, ya, ya. Humbio condelio mayanda. Hupupayo, 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 hupupayo. Ne kapa, ne pakanda honda, ne commando, ne konda laya. Ooh, oh, God. How could Yeshua heal lepers staying 6 feet apart? He had to touch him. Come on, I don't hear nothing. I'm not the only somebody with a sound. Come on, I'm not the only somebody with a sound. I want every mama that's got a backslidden kid. Come on, you need to cry now. You need to cry now. You need to cry now. Every mama, every grandmama got a boy that's doing time. Hey-yo, you-ee-oh, ya-ee-oh, ya-ee-oh, my-ya-ya. You need to cry now. You need to cry now. You need to cry now. Omando payeto, hikande, ya-na-na-na-na-ya, ho-ho-ho, ho-ho-ho. Shirley, Shirley, Shirley. Stand right here, daughter. Dr. McGee, come stand right here. It's Karen and now. Just raise your hands. Just raise your hand. Take that deposit. Nah. Oh. Nah. Oh. Wes, you and your wife, come right quick, right quick, right quick, right quick, right quick, right quick. I'm going to give you something Oprah can't give you because she don't have it. Now. Oh. Come on, make a sound. Open up your mouth. Open. Open your mouth. Open your mouth. Release the government.